Hello, I'm Micks Mowers and welcome to my channel. In today's video, it's a little bit different actually. 2 days ago, I received a phone call from Mama Sweeney, who lives in Alabama in the USA. And as soon as I saw the text come through from her to say, "Are you busy?" This was around about 10:30, 11 o'clock UK time. Which would mean it's really, really early in Alabama. And I knew straight away what the phone call was about. The phone call, I FaceTimed her straight back as soon as I got the text message, and it was to say that her husband Doug had passed away. Now Doug had been battling cancer for a good number of years. And on the first two occasions, Doug absolutely kicked its backside, and it looked like things were quite positive. And the last time Doug got the cancer, it got hold of him, and it got hold of him really, really hard, really fast, and it took his life. Now Doug Sweeney, some of you may not even recognise the name, but if I said to you Bama Mud Mowers or Bama Mowers Garage, I think is what he changed his YouTube handle to towards the end. Doug was instrumental in the YouTube community within the small engine environment, or arena as I call it. Doug was a wealth of information. And I've got some videos playing in the backgrounds of Doug, so I'll make it down a little bit smaller whilst I play some of his videos. He was a wealth of information. He was a proper, not so much OEM style mechanic. He was more hard and fast, get it done, and let's see what we can break on the way. He was really crude with some of his repairs, but do you know what? The technical mind behind it was fantastic. Now, back in the early days when I first started my YouTube channel, which is not that long ago, in a grand scheme of things, I had another shed which used to leak more than a vegetable colander, and when it rained I used to have to wear waterproof jackets. And Doug would FaceTime. I'd stick Doug up on the stand, and we would FaceTime to the small hours of the night or the early hours of the morning because of the time difference, and I'd be working on an engine and he'd be telling me what to check for and what to do, and we'd just be sitting there chewing the fat. I'd even be sat there some mornings, he'd even message me whilst he was eating breakfast, and I used to take the mickey out of him because he used to eat a thing called bread and biscuits over there, which was like it was like a gravy and a bread roll for breakfast, and we used to give each other plenty of stick over the different terminologies that the Americans and that the UK use, and we used to sit there and laugh, and he used to get in a lot of trouble with Mama, and he used to get machines in that he didn't want her to know about, and he'd try and hide them up, and he'd buy new tools and this sort of thing. And it was always a running joke that Doug was going to get a brand new tool bench as long as he had to sign a contract pretty much to say that he wouldn't buy any more tools, and he'd get this new bench. And I would say, mate, you've got no chance of doing that. No chance of doing it at all, Doug, because as soon as you go down to Walmart or wherever, you'll be buying something. He just said, I just won't tell her. I just won't tell her, I don't care. But he cared, and that was the thing with Doug. He really did care. Doug was, from what I saw, a fantastic husband, a brilliant dad, and a fantastic granddad. He had all them kiddies around him. All his grandkids were all there, and every single day Doug was right there in the thick of it, and he would be just showing out the love and the cuddles, and you could see on the kids' faces that they loved being near their papa. Absolutely loved him. And I can remember doing FaceTimes with Doug, and the kids would be there, Heavenly would be there, and they'd all just be jumping over him, trying to talk to Uncle Mick in the UK because he talks funny. And we would just have a real scream, an absolute hoot. We would be absolutely killing ourselves talking about old times and talking about the adventures we've been on and what we've been up to and how much trouble we're going to get in. And even then, I think that's where the first thing came with me hiding mowers from Mrs. P, is that Doug knew that I would get in so much trouble if I was to buy another lawnmower, or I say another lawnmower, another 20 lawnmowers, and Mrs. P would find out, and Doug would be, oh, she's going to kick your ass. But unfortunately, Doug lost his fight. He lost his fight, and man, he was a stubborn old mule. He really was stubborn. And I've been talking to Mama, and he was on next to no pain relief medication Although he was given it, he didn't take it. A lot of it. He said he wasn't in pain. I bet you £1 he was. But even right down to the end, he was more concerned about the grandkids and about his wife, Mama, making sure they would be okay. It's an absolute tragedy, you know. They always say, and this is one thing I said to Mama just the other day, is that God always takes the good ones first. So what has he got lined up for us? You know what I mean? And that sort of thing Doug would have laughed at. He would have said, "Oh, you're in a heap of trouble, Mick. You worry about that. You've got yours coming." So, you know, unfortunately, Doug has got his wings, and he's got to fly high now, and he's no longer in pain. But I just wanted to just do a little video just to mark the passing of a fellow small engine mechanic, a fellow small engine repairer, a mud mower enthusiast. He liked his racing, his hard and fast racing. The faster he could get a lawnmower to go, it had to go just a bit faster, so the governor was taken off and the bigger pulley was put on, and all this sort of stuff. If he wanted something and wanted it to go fast, Doug needed to find a way of making it. He wanted the fastest mud mowing racing mower there was around, without a doubt. Doug was so infectious to watch him. And as I say, going back in the early days when I had my old shed, I remember stripping down, funnily enough, one of these engines, because I bought a brand new engine that was seized off of a dealer. And I took it right apart, new piston rings, I honed out the cylinder, I did everything. And Doug was there all along the way, feeding me the technical information that I didn't really care for. But Doug was there, and we would sit for hours on end, just nattering, and he'd say, "Hold on, let me go get another cup of coffee and I'll come back." And within 5 minutes he was back, and we'd have another hour and a half of talking. So when I first come onto YouTube about 4.5 years ago now, there was a community called the Small Engine Nation community, which is where a lot of the small engine nuts were gathered together within a group, and anyone that was anyone could join it, as long as they had some kind of following or did some kind of knowledge with small engine repair, whether it be 4-stroke, 2-stroke or whatever. And Doug said to me about joining that, and because of the UK time difference, things were quite difficult for me to join, but we always found time in the early hours of the night or whenever to jump on a FaceTime and meet up with 6 or 7 other guys from all over. Puller Bear Ed, Tractor was there, and Nate from Go Karts and Gone Fishing was there, and all the boys and girls we used to meet up and have a right old holler, and we'd all show what we used to work on for that day, what we was up to, how far a certain project had gone, and the trials and tribulations of family problems, because it always went a bit further, you know, with regards to, you know, people having issues, and we would donate and we would do this and we'd do that. It was a really, really good, close-knit community, but like all good things like that, it came to an end. And unfortunately, Doug found himself on the outside of the circle. So the Small Engine Nation community, a lot of it disbanded because of internal combustions, explosions going off, and unfortunately, the Small Engine community then disbanded. But we still carried on. The Small Engine group community not only disbanded from there, but it exploded into what we have now. We have this massive online YouTube, WhatsApp group, Instagram following community where people are still trading spares and giving information and donating to each other and supporting each other's channels. And that was one thing that Doug was really, really keen to see. He was keen to see new people coming in and their channels growing and developing. And I know that my channel in particular just took off in the initial days, and I was able to get my 1,000 subscribers inside 9 months. And I had my views, and I was monetised inside 9 months. And poor old Doug had been going a little while, and he hadn't got there yet. But Doug was really, he wasn't envious of me. He was really pleased that my channel had done so well, and he supported my channel. I used to run a Saturday night live stream, and Doug was always there, even with his bad internet connection. Doug was always there. He wanted to be in the absolute thick of it. He wanted to be in the conversation and you know, talking to people all over the world. And he always met other people on the streams with open arms. It didn't matter what race, religion, creed, or what it was you were working on. If it had anything to do with a piston and a cylinder, then Doug was your friend. And that's how me and Doug first come about. I just joined a small community that they reached out to me and said, "Do you want to be part of this?" So I was really pleased and honoured when when I was actually offered to, an invitation to join what was then the Small Engine Nation community. Doug was in many ways like a father figure, grandfather figure to me in many ways. He wasn't that old in the grand scheme of things, but he had the knowledge, and Doug was always willing to share that knowledge. And it didn't matter what time of day it was, his time or our time. Doug was always at the end of a message, or he'd say, "I'll ring you back. I've got to go and do my chores, but I'll ring you back." And 9 times out of 10, he would just go off into his shed, and the chores never got done for that day. He'd much rather just be yakking to some English bloke over the phone. And if it wasn't even small engine related, it was just because he wanted to have a chat, I can remember Doug getting a brand new shed just as he got really, really ill. He got a brand spanking new shed, and he had all these plans for his shed. He was going to put a loft in it, and he was going to do this, he was going to do that. And man, this is going to be the best shed in the US. He was so pleased to have it. He did videos of the shed turning up, and I was there all the way, one step at a time, just cheering Doug on, saying, "Oh, mate, this is fantastic," and I can't wait. And he'd show me video clips and photographs of what he's been doing for the day. And when he got sick, the doctor told him he wasn't allowed in the shed, and he was in there with a circular saw, and he was in there with an impact gun just fixing something up, and you could hear Mama in the background having a go at him. And she's going past, and she'd walk past the shed, and she knew he was in there, and he didn't care. But he did care. He did care. He didn't want to get on the wrong side of Mama, because she would have given one right upside the ear, old hairy side as well. But she was a passionate woman for Doug. I know she loved Doug, as we all did. And she's going to miss the man, a lot. And them grandkids are going to miss him. And anyone whoever has had contact with Doug, they're going to miss him. But, life goes on, right? Life goes on, and we have to hold on to some memories. And I know that when Doug was sick, I had it in my head that I would ring Doug or FaceTime him, but I said to Mum, I just couldn't do it, because I know looking at the videos that he did put out when he was sick, it wasn't the Doug I remember. The Doug I remember was cheeky, chirpy, flat out, foot firmly on the throttle. And even though he was sick, you could still see he wanted to do that. But I shall hold on to the memories I have of the Bama Mud Mower, the memories that I have, and that I spoke to him. And we used to sit here, as I say, for hours into the small hours of the night, chatting away about small engine stuff, and that's what I take away. That's what I take away from my memories, and that's how I should keep it. So unfortunately, another small engine mechanic, another small engine expert gets his wings, and someone will have to close his workshop up and firmly padlock the door, because there'll be no one working in there again like that man ever would. So a little tribute to you, Doug, my friend. May you fly high, and I know you're no longer in pain, which is fantastic. All the strength and all the best goes out to Mama and the family. Just keep smiling. That's all you got to do. Just keep smiling and take every day as it comes. So from one small engine guy to another, Doug, this is for you, my friend.